I know some of you listening out there don't consider yourselves to be conservative, but I'm going to be making a point that could apply to anyone regardless of how they believe, so stick around. I'm just using this particular situation to make a bigger point. One thing I learned a long time ago is that not everybody is going to like you, and it might not be even because of something you did, and there's nothing you can do to change their mind. They just don't like you because reasons. Maya Angelou had a saying that goes like,
when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yes, believe them. They know themselves much better than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to put my own little spin on that. When people tell you they don't like you, believe them. Don't suck up to them or pursue them thinking that you're going to change their mind, because you probably won't. Unfortunately, life isn't like a rom-com. So here's what happened. This guy, whose name is Rob Smith.
My name is Rob Smith. I'm America's favorite black gay Republican.
A former conservative influencer who is obviously black, and some might even say obviously gay, got surrounded and heckled by a group of racist frat boys. Some black people were calling this his Negro wake-up call, but I think he got woken up about something else, but we'll get into that. I don't want to make this video to blame the victim, but at the same time, there are ways you can protect your self-esteem and keep yourself from getting your feelings hurt unnecessarily. But first, let me give y'all a little bit of background information. As most of you are probably aware, there is a raging culture war going on in this country right now, and a lot of it has to do with the LGBTQ. That is the maximum amount of letters that I'm willing to remember. So anyway, this gay black MAGA guy used to be a contributor to a conservative organization called Turning Point USA. Many, if not most, of the conservatives that go to Turning Point USA events are Christians, and they're the type of Christians who don't believe in homosexuality. These are people who feel like everywhere they go, the LGBTQ is being shoved in their face.
All they wanted was the right to get married, they said, and it was nobody's business what two consenting adults did in the privacy of their bedroom. But now they've leveraged the power of the federal, state, and local governments, along with corporate America, Fortune 500 companies, the big tech platforms, government-run public schools, to mandate that they be celebrated.
With all the culture war stuff going on in the background, Rob Smith and Charlie Kirk, who is the founder of Turning Point USA, thought the crowd would be totally cool with Rob Smith getting up on stage, allowing the gays to infiltrate yet one more space.
How does homosexual sex help us win the culture war?
Who said homosexual sex helps you win the culture war?
That's the question that I'm asking. Why are you promoting it?
Well, it's a BS question.
What is your brand of conservatism doing to actually conserve Christian morality? If we're ceding to the left on transgender, gay rights, gay marriage, we don't want that in conservatism.
So you don't want him in the conservative movement? I just want to be very clear. Let's just be.
So you don't want me in the movement?
No.
Not if it waters down.
Hold on a second.
For the sake of time, I only played clips of people calling Rob Smith out, but there are plenty of people who are clapping for Rob Smith and didn't mind him being there. But I think he was still getting way more pushback than he expected. So then when he had the confrontation with them boys, that pushed him over the edge. Here's Rob's big mistake. He thought that being a Republican would make other Republicans rearrange their priorities, which is to say, he thought that being a Republican would make them accept his lifestyle. And I think that's where the wake-up call came in. Christians who don't accept homosexuality aren't going to accept a gay guy just because he puts on a hat. So now, let me play the incident that Rob Smith says prompted him to leave the Republican Party.
Yes, Nick Fuentes loves gay sex.
First of all, I want to say that I'm sorry this happened to Rob. He may have been smiling in that clip and kind of playing along, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was actually scared, because he was surrounded, and you never know what a group might do when that mob mentality takes over. This guy here definitely looks like he wants to do something. So anyway, Rob Smith says that the guys who heckled him after the event as well as some of the guys in the event who were questioning him about his homosexuality, were actually followers of a guy named Nick Fuentes, who was a known white nationalist. Rob suggests that the guys who asked him the questions in the event, as well as the guys who heckled him after the event, actually don't like him because he's black, but since it's not socially acceptable to dislike someone for being black, they go after him for being gay as a proxy to get at him for being black.
And so they said, well, what does gay sex have to do with conservatism? And that sort of started to being the rallying cry of the frog people. And the frog people hate me. They hate me. Here's the thing. They can't hate me. They can't truly hate me because I'm gay, because their leader is gay. But what they can hate me for is for being black, which is less acceptable than it is to hate me for being gay. So they pretend to hate me for being gay, but they really hate me for being black. So that's what that's all about.
If we go strictly by what we heard in the video inside the event, it's clear that these people's problem with Rob is his gay lifestyle. There are conservatives who have a real concern about the gay agenda infiltrating conservatism. They feel like people like Rob are just plants whose job it is to pull the conservative party further left.
I'd like to know, how long do we have to wait until child drag shows are pushed as American traditional conservatism?
People who have concerns about the LGBTQ in conservatism, if they were to ask a question to Rob, that's exactly the type of question I would expect them to ask. There's no racism or even dog whistles in those questions, so without more evidence or proof, I don't see how Rob felt that they were hating on him for being black. And even if they are racist, a racist can still ask him a legitimate question about the LGBTQ in conservatism. As for the boys who heckled him after the event, Rob says some of them called him the N-word, but he also admits this can't be heard in the video.
And what I will say, what a lot of people didn't see in that video is, number one, they did say the N-word. Absolutely, that was not caught on video, but that did happen.
I'm in no position to deny what Rob said because I wasn't there. What I did hear is them defending Nick Fuentes and chanting America First, which is the name of an organization that Nick Fuentes founded. Nick Fuentes is a white nationalist, so it's reasonable to assume those guys are too. In this Twitter post Rob wrote about the incident, he calls these guys white supremacists. If Rob believes these guys are white supremacists, it shouldn't be unexpected if they called him the N-word. White people who don't like black people don't suddenly start liking black people just because they put on a hat. Rob called them white supremacists, not Republicans or conservatives, but white supremacists. Yes, they were at a Turning Point USA event, but Turning Point USA is just one organization out of many Republican organizations. What Rob did is like if I went to a Taylor Swift concert and somebody there who was a white supremacist called me the N-word, and then I stopped being a Taylor Swift fan and listening to her music. Charlie Kirk does not embrace Nick Fuentes. Charlie refuses to even debate Nick Fuentes. But anyway, I don't see how this one incident can make Rob leave the party when he said that up until then he'd had nothing but acceptance.
There are a lot of different factions. I in no way experienced anything like this before, and I have been a prominent Republican figure, conservative figure, for the past 5 years of my life. I have seen people all across this country, white, black, etc., that have accepted me for who I am as a black man, as a gay man, all of this stuff. I had no idea that this really even existed out there.
The mistake Rob made is that he had a positive experience with one group of Republicans, and he generalized that positive experience to all Republicans. He went such a long time without encountering any Republicans who objected to his lifestyle that he started to think those people no longer existed. He thought things had changed and that everyone had moved past that. Well, you can't assume things like that. You always got to read the room. You can't assume that because all the pit bulls you know are nice, that you can walk up to any pit bull and have a nice time. Just like as a gay man, I'm sure you know that if you go onto a gay dating site, you wouldn't assume just because you're gay and they're gay that every guy on that site is going to be open to dating you. Some of them just don't like black guys, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Vanilla or spice? No chocolate nor rice. Oh.
No Orientals.
And Asians, please leave me alone. These guys are creatively racist. I'm white and attractive, so sorry. But if you're anything else, anything less, i.e. not white, you're not worth it. Just a preference, sorry.
Is there a block or black button?
I block more Asian than the Great Wall of China.
Let's chat. Not into Asians, says the Asian guy.
It's the same thing with Republicans and any other group. You cannot assume that everybody in a certain group is going to want to F with you just because you're in that group too. If the people at Turning Point USA didn't like him, okay, then just don't go there again.
I will actually never attend any of those conferences again. Like, I'm done. You'll never see me at CPAC. You'll never see me at one of that other organization's events. It's just never going to happen again. Like, I got the memo, right? They want who they want there. So
the way Rob reacted to this incident makes me question why Rob became a Republican influencer in the first place. Did he believe in the values, or was he just looking for acceptance and a club to join? See, I actually believe in the values, and no white Republican calling me the N-word is going to make me not want low taxes, small government, protecting the Second Amendment, secure border, and rejecting woke crap like transitioning kids and letting criminals back on the street. It gets on my nerves when people find out I'm a black conservative, and their response is something like, "Why are you voting Republican? Then white folks think you an N-word anyway." If that's the case, won't they think that regardless of how I vote? So I might as well just vote for what I believe in, which has nothing to do with them. People act like I'm voting for them. I am not. I don't hang out with them. I don't seek their approval, and I don't expect to put on a hat and have them like me. Switching gears just a bit, why is the racism bar set so high for Republicans? There's racism in every community, including the LGBTQ. There's racism in universities.
It reads, "Welcome home, Illini." But a warm welcome is not the case for some students, after officers say a noose was found hanging in an elevator in Allen Hall at the University of Illinois.
That actually just scared me away from the university.
Monday night, officers arrested a U of I student, 19-year-old Andrew Smith, for hanging the noose.
There's racism in fraternities and sororities.
There'll never be an There'll never be an You hang from a tree, but it'll never talk with me.
Racism in gaming.
Gaming online is a really toxic and racist environment.
Big black big black big black fucking fat big black.
It's not just Xbox. PlayStation and Twitch have these issues too. There are countless examples of this online.
There's even racism in the church. And that's a place where it'd be reasonable to expect there to be no racism. But there is. And you know why? Because some racist people go to church. There's racism in the general population. Just because you draw a circle around a smaller group of people within the general population and call that group, I don't know, teachers, why do you think there aren't going to be any racists in that group? Why do you think everybody in that group is going to like each other? There are racist teachers because sometimes racists become teachers. There's racist lawyers because sometimes racists become lawyers. There's racist doctors because sometimes racists become doctors. And yes, there's racist Republicans because some racists are Republicans. But I'll do you one better than that. There's also Republican kid touchers and wife beaters and drunk drivers and murderers because that's how life works. And you can also find all that stuff in the church, in universities, and in the Democratic Party. People talk about racism in the Republican Party as if there are no racist Democrats. Oh, but there's more racist Republicans. Well, I haven't seen any evidence for that, but even if there were, again, we're not voting for the people, we're voting for the policies. And let's not forget, when it comes to being black, racism doesn't just come from white people. There are other minority groups, many of whom vote Democrat, and they are racist against black people.
Look, I can't speak to what it's like to be black, but I know how we talk about black people, and it is fucked up. We love black America, yeah, on screen, in our living rooms, but if a black man walks into your living room or wants to date, God forbid, marry your daughter, you call the cops. Dude, do you know what we call black people? We call them kala. It means black, not in a good way. If someone in your family is dark-skinned, we clown them. We call them kallu. Look at kallu. It is bad to be black in Desi culture.
We can't just blame white people for pitting us against each other either, because the fact of the matter is that Asian cultures have a huge colorism problem and a huge problem with black people.
racista, racist. All the girls know, if you're a girl, your grandmother will tell you, mira cabrona, cásate con un negro and you're dead. To me, you're dead. Si te casas con un negro, forget, I'm not gonna leave you my chain. Get out of here. My grandmother didn't like black people, and to tell you the truth, black people fucking didn't like her. And she would talk shit about them, but they heard negro, they were like, hey, 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 hey. Mira cabrón, when I'm at work, no me gustan los pinches negros, hey. When I'm at work, no me gusta el chocolate.
Many African immigrants think that they are better than Black Americans. And we come from our home countries already with this false narrative, with this negative stereotype that Black Americans as a group are lazy, they are on government handouts, they're not taking advantage of the opportunities that America has. We come with these narratives.
If you want to see some Democrat racism, look at how they treat minorities who don't subscribe to the leftist ideology.
The California recall race really heats up. A protester threw an egg at Republican candidate Larry Elder today as he walked in Venice.
Look at the low expectations they have of minorities.
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm saying
there's more.
Do you have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state ID.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed.
I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African Americans.
Being a Republican is one of the only instances where a black person can experience racism, and they're applauded for walking away. If a black person experienced racism at a university and they decided to leave because of it,
that actually just scared me away from the university.
People would say, don't let them run you off. That's letting the racist win. You should stay and make a difference and be a positive example to all the black children all around the world, or something like that.
Disturbing cell phone video taken at the University of Kentucky shows a white student attacking and harassing a black student and yelling racist remarks.
I was physically, verbally, and racially assaulted by Jane Doe, aka Sophia Rosing.
Hundreds standing beside her in Lexington and standing up against racism and discrimination.
And to Ms. Rosing, you will not break my spirit. As Michelle Obama once said, when they go low, we go.
Well then, if you think the Republican Party is so racist, then you can say that that's what I'm doing. I'm getting back in there and I'm making it, and fuck that. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I'm here for the low taxes, small government, protecting the Second Amendment, etc., etc. Being a conservative for me is not about fitting into a club or being accepted by Jimbo. But if Rob did want the club, there are plenty of lesbian, gay, and even trans conservatives, some of whom I listen to on a regular basis, that you can align yourself with, and then the gay thing won't even be an issue. Or you can find people like me. I'm a straight conservative atheist, and I don't mind gay people in the movement. But maybe you wouldn't want me around because I'm an atheist and you're a Christian. So, what have we learned today? Well, for one, some people just aren't gonna like you. Number two, when people tell you they don't like you, believe them. Number three, do not seek approval from said people who do not like you. You're gonna have a bad time. Number four, if you know ahead of time that people aren't gonna like you, either mentally prepare yourself for that ahead of time so that you don't get your feelings hurt, or don't go around them at all.
As I got older, the same things kind of happened. People were still calling me the N-word and saying racially insensitive things to me. After a while, I just kind of got used to it. It was normal, and it was just something I had to deal with if I wanted to play games online.
And 5, do not assume that just because some members of a group like you, that all members of that group will like you. Some people in that group may have different priorities that exclude you. And finally, yes, some Republicans are racist. What the hell does that have to do with me? Thank you very much.